What if everything around you us wasn't what it seems? What if reality wasn't just something you live in, but something that's constantly responding to you, and not in a metaphorical, feel-good, spiritual kind of way? I'm talking about actual quantum-level responsiveness. Your emotions, your focus, your internal state, they're all writing the code that reality reads in real time. Most of us spend our lives reacting to the day, reacting to problems, reacting to what life throws at us. But what if life is actually reacting to us? This world we walk through, it isn't some pre-scripted story. It's probabilities, possibilities, and they shift based on what you're carrying inside. Your energy isn't just some vibe or mood, it's data. It's information being broadcast to the quantum field around you. And that field, it's listening, constantly. But here's the wild part, most people are trying to fix things at the surface. They obsess over strategy. They stress over timing. They chase external solutions like their life depends on rearranging the outside. Meanwhile, the real shift happens in the invisible, in your frequency, your energy. That's where life gets written before anything ever shows up in your inbox, your calendar, your bank account. That's the real origin point. And yet we were never taught that. Science, real science, not just spiritual speculation, tells us everything is energy. Everything vibrates, including you. Your thoughts, emotions, intentions. They're not just psychological events. They're electromagnetic signals. Your nervous system, it's an antenna. Your heart, it radiates a measurable electromagnetic field. Your brain, a frequency generator responding to your focus. But no one teaches us how to use any of that. No one teaches you that your inner state is what determines the outer experience. Instead, you're taught to force, to hustle, to fix everything out there. And when things don't work, you blame circumstances, bad timing, even yourself. But the truth is, it's not about how hard you work, it's about how clean your signal is. If your energy is anxious, fragmented, filled with doubt or shame, guess what you're sending out? Static, mixed signals. And the field, your reality, responds with confusion. It echoes that back. You move forward, but nothing lands. Or worse, you move forward and somehow end up even more stuck. It's not that you're broken. You're just misaligned. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine tuning that signal, getting clear, not just in your goals, but in your state, your presence, your emotional signature. Suddenly things begin to click. People show up, paths open. That's not luck. That's physics. Your energy is programmable. It's like a code, and what you're broadcasting is shaping the feedback loop of your life. Think of it this way: if your frequency was a song, what would reality be dancing to right now? A scattered, glitchy mess or a clear, powerful rhythm? Because that's what the universe hears, not your words, not your vision board, not your journal, your frequency. That's why you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And this is the reason two people can walk into the same room and have completely different experiences. One leaves with new connections, opportunities, breakthroughs. The other leaves unnoticed. Same space, different frequency. It's not about effort, it's about dominion. And I don't mean control over others. I mean mastery over yourself, over your own energy, over your own internal state. Because reality doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to coherence. Coherence means your heart, mind, and nervous system are in sync. No mixed signals, just a clear, stable broadcast. Here's where it gets personal. You've already felt this. That moment where everything just worked. You weren't forcing. You weren't trying to prove anything. You were just in it, present, aligned, and things showed up. That wasn't random. That was resonance. You weren't chasing life. You matched it. And you can do that again, on purpose, consistently. But it's not about pretending to be high vibe. It's not about faking positivity. It's about energetic honesty, owning where you are and shifting with precision, not fantasy. Because reality doesn't negotiate. It responds, always. We've been taught that life is something we measure, predict, and react to. But quantum physics flipped that idea upside down. It showed us something far more strange and more empowering. The act of observation changes the outcome. When something is unobserved, it exists as potential, probabilities. But the moment attention is applied, it collapses into form. It becomes real. Stretch that into your life. Every time you observe your situation with fear, judgment, or expectation, you collapse a version of it into reality. Your attention creates, and your energy is what determines how it creates. So the fear you carry into a conversation, the doubt you bring to a decision, the unworthiness you drag through your day, all of that becomes the lens through which the field shapes what happens next. And here's what makes this so powerful but also challenging. The field doesn't care if your belief is conscious or unconscious. It doesn't care if the story is yours or one you inherited. If it's in your field, the field responds to it. That means if deep down you believe you're not worthy, guess what gets reflected? If you expect struggle even while saying you want ease, guess what becomes more likely? Not because the universe is cruel, but because it's exact. This is quantum precision. The observer effect isn't emotional, it's mathematical. It doesn't judge, it mirrors. If your frequency says, I never get what I want, then the field listens to that, not the words you speak, but the signal you're broadcasting. The result, reality, folds into that belief, not as punishment, as precision. This is why your life might feel like an echo of your old pain. Why the same lessons repeat with new faces? It's not because you're cursed, it's because you're still emitting the same frequency that magnetizes those timelines. But here's the liberating truth you can shift. Not by changing your job, your partner, your routine, but by changing your state. Because when your internal frequency changes, the field can't help but respond differently. It's not instant, but it's inevitable. And the shift doesn't begin by chasing new outcomes. It starts when you stop fighting the old signal and begin generating a new one, a cleaner one, a more congruent one. Imagine you're a radio tower. Every thought, every breath, every choice, every emotion, it's broadcasting data. And that data determines which you becomes real, which timeline responds, which opportunities materialize. You don't jump timelines by dreaming. You jump timelines by becoming. Most people drift through life unconsciously shifting between versions of themselves, tangled in routine doubt fear. But the moment you consciously shift your energy, you step into a different track. And here's how you know you're on a new track. Synchronicities multiply. You say someone's name and they text. You follow a random nudge and it leads to a breakthrough. You release an old belief and clarity floods in like light through a crack in the wall. These aren't coincidences, they're responses. The field has received your new signal, and it's reshaping reality around you in real time. But there's a catch, it works in reverse too. If you're stuck in shame, scarcity, or fear, the field responds to that just as quickly. One anxious thought spirals into a stressful day. One moment of low self-worth attracts a string of hollow interactions. That's not bad luck, that's resonance. This is why becoming aware of your state is everything. Because it determines which version of your life you tune into. And no, you can't fake your way into a higher timeline. You have to embody it. You have to feel the confidence before you're applauded. You have to feel the abundance before the money arrives. You have to walk like you're already living in the timeline you've chosen, because only then can the field start building it around you. Most people reverse that. They wait for the external wind to validate the internal shift. But the field doesn't work like that. You lead, it follows. Think about your own life. The moments when things flowed not because you tried harder, but because you were clearer, more grounded, less desperate, more you. You were in a state of allowance, not resistance. That wasn't luck. That was alignment. And alignment isn't just a feeling, it's a signal. A clear, coherent frequency that the field can finally match without interference. But staying in that signal, that's the challenge. Because the moment you try to step into a new timeline, the old one will pull at you. Old doubts, old people, old habits. They'll come knocking. Not because the universe is testing you, but because your system craves the familiar, even if the familiar is what's breaking you. This is why energy work isn't extra. It's the core of everything. You can't out-hustle misalignment. You can't out-strategize static. Your nervous system has to feel safe holding a higher state. And most people don't realize they're operating from survival 90% of the time. Shallow breath, scattered attention, emotional clutter. That's not coherence, that's chaos. So before you visualize, before you affirm, before you manifest, start here. Breathe. Slowly, deeply, deliberately. Your breath is the entry point. It tells your system, we're safe now. And safety is the baseline of creation. A nervous system in panic can't hold expansion, but a calm one, it can create worlds. Then focus. Where is your attention going? Are you leaking it into worry, into comparison, into what might go wrong? Because scattered focus sends scattered signals, and the quantum field can only respond clearly when you're broadcasting clearly. Choose your focus like your life depends on it, because energetically it does. And finally, emotion. Your emotion is the amplifier of your signal, the tone of your frequency. It's what gives your message weight. You can whisper, "I trust," with your mind. But if your body is screaming, I'm afraid the field listens to the louder signal. Always. So ask yourself, what am I broadcasting right now? Is it clarity or confusion? Conviction or desperation? The field doesn't judge, it simply responds. This is why the deepest work isn't external. It's internal hygiene, emotional clarity, nervous system regulation, coherence. When you start your day from that space, when you choose the frequency you want, before the world tells you how to feel, you stop reacting and start shaping. And no, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be congruent. Because once you are, the field adjusts, quietly, precisely, sometimes slowly, sometimes all at once. You'll feel it. You'll sense the shift before the results arrive. And when they do, it'll feel natural, obvious, as if it had always been waiting for you. Because it had. You've already felt it before, that strange, quiet certainty when something just clicks. The phone call you needed came at the exact right moment. A door opened that you didn't even know existed. You were in sync not because you forced it, but because you were finally aligned. That alignment didn't come from grinding harder. It came from shedding the noise, from remembering who you are beneath the doubt, beneath the programming, beneath all the stories they told you to believe. You were taught to believe in limitations, to look outside yourself for answers, to measure your worth by achievements, approval, and permission. But none of that is who you are. You're not here to chase timelines. You're here to tune into them. Because the life you're trying to reach, it already exists. Not in some faraway future, but as a frequency waiting to be matched. A version of you is already living it, and the only thing standing in between is your signal. This is the secret most people miss. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If your inner world is filled with anxiety, the external world reflects chaos. If your energy says, "I'm not ready," then even when opportunities come, you'll block them. Not because you aren't capable, but because your field isn't open to receive. But shift the field and the outer world changes with it. Not instantly, but inevitably. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you're off by even a little, the music's distorted. But once you lock on to the right frequency, everything becomes clear. That's what alignment is. And it's not theory. It's mechanics. It's coherence. The universe isn't ignoring you. It's mirroring you. And the best part, you can rewrite the signal at any time. Not with forced positivity, but with embodiment. What would it feel like if you already had what you're calling in? What would your body feel like if the pressure was gone, if the fear was dissolved, if the door was already open? Hold that. Breathe into that. Stay there long enough to become familiar with it. Because once your system accepts that state as your new normal, the field begins to bend accordingly. That's not magic, that's resonance. You don't need to convince the universe to respond. You just need to broadcast the version of you that it's been waiting to meet. And this doesn't happen once. It's a discipline, a devotion. You'll be tempted to slip back into old identities, old emotions, old doubts. But every time you choose differently, every time you hold the new signal, instead of reacting to the old pattern, you shift timelines. You become the version of yourself that no longer negotiates with fear, that no longer chases validation, that doesn't wait for permission. You become the cause, not the effect. You don't hustle your way into alignment. You remember your way there. And when you do, reality softens, resistance fades, synchronicities multiply. Because you're no longer speaking to life in a language it can't understand. You're now speaking in state, in signal, in clarity. And clarity is magnetic. Not the kind that pulls with desperation, but the kind that invites with certainty. You no longer need the evidence to believe. You believe, and so the evidence arrives. You no longer hope things will change. You live like they already have. And in doing so, you collapse the distance between vision and experience. You shorten the gap between desire and manifestation. Because time doesn't separate you from your highest timeline, frequency does. And now you know how to tune. So when doubt creeps in, when the world tells you to shrink, when the old story tries to drag you back, pause, breathe, recalibrate, and remember you're not broken. You're not behind. You're just realigning. You're stepping into the reality that's always been yours. And the universe. Serenivresur, It's already listening,